Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. And today I just wanted to follow on from what we did before, and we are exploring the world of paper dyeing using natural products that we have in our homes. Last time we used some tea and we used some coffee and some spice from the cupboard, all of which had either been already used or were out of date products and were destined for the bin or the compost pile. So I have got a lovely yellow cardstock selection here. I've got die cuts, I've got a little envelope, I've made a tag there, and we've put a stamp already on what used to be a business card which I was given. We've got this beautiful aging effect that's happening here, and every piece of paper, although it had the same treatment, has come out slightly differently depending on where it was placed within the pan. So if you would like to see that and see how we did that together, then please do visit the video showing how to dye the papers. And in the meantime, we are going to get on with creating something using these papers. So in the last video, I invited you to make your own papers using coffee or tea or whatever you could get your hands on to dye your own paper. If you've got that to hand, we need to get hold of it and ideally cut yourself a rectangle and put a stamp on it, because I'm going to try and turn this into something more useful to add to my journal, possibly a journaling card or a tag. So if you'd like to pause the video and gather the things, we're just going to need some scissors, glue, stamps, ink, anything that you've got to hand, which will help you if you've got hole punches or corner punches. All of these things are great. If you're new to it, just watch and see what you can find. You don't need the fancy tools. You can get by cutting around things. But let's just have a little think of what we could do. I have come up with tags and things made out of junk mail, and they've been dyed with ink, and this one's got a sticker on it. And I think that this could also be similar. It's got a bit of weight to the cardstock, so it is quite... In fact, I haven't got very many tags in here. Let's do a tag. Let us do a tag. So I'm thinking it might want to be up this way, or, yeah, no, this way. And what we're going to do is cut a triangle off. And then over this side, you turn it upside down or turn it over to get the same on the other side. So that is how to do your corners. You can keep those for something else. So this is how we've got that. Then you would want to have a hole punch. But I always delve into this tray of scraps. This is where all the scrappage ends up. Little tiny pieces that I can then pull out and use to make other things. So here I've got a printout of some music paper, or that's what I found in a magazine. Even the little tiddly tiny pieces, I keep everything. And then if you've got some ink, you will need some blending tools. We've got Distressed Ink by Tim Holt, and then what you also need is a blending tool. You can get the ones that are by Ranger for the Distress Ink range, but you can also find them in craft stores. They just look like this. They have a handle, a circle of wood with Velcro. And what we would do, this is an extremely old one. That's what happens because they come with pads. So for instance, here's a pad like that. Now, if you buy these from other craft stores that are not the Tim Holtz range, they will be smaller in the circular diameter. They will fluff up and fray more, like this one. So this is not a Tim Holtz one, this is a cheapie. However, they do the job, and this one I've kept as a multi-purpose for all my dark coloured inks, so that's why it's so scruffy. But this is the difference. This is a cleaner, more new one. But if you buy from the Tim Holtz range, they do the clever thing of fitting into the bottom of the little minis. So you can get a full-size ink pad, which would look something like that. But the minis, you are able to get yourself a lot more colour, and they come in this handy dandy packs. Come in pack of 4 inks in a kit, and if you're just starting out and you're completely new to this, you are going to want ink. It is part of the junk journaling process. You can get away with it. You can use shoe polish and other things, or even felt tip pens. You can scribble on a plastic surface, like a piece of acetate if you've got any kind of packaging, and then spray water on it and use the ink that way. But if you're going to get into this in on a larger scale, you are going to want the inks. Now, I've only got the little ones because I like the range of colour. Each pack, as I said, comes with 4 different colour ink pads. You will ideally, or if you can buy them individually, which I think you can, order yourself a black and a dark brown just to get started. And if you want another colour, maybe go for a grey or a blue, and take it from there. You can buy the bigger ink pads as well, but I wouldn't be promoting things that I don't think are really fantastic, because I'm just not impressed that easily. And with these I have been, because you can reactivate the pigments in them with a bit of water. I'm going to use the pad that I've put in the bottom, which is my latest trick. I don't know if they'll be there in a month's time, but we get the ink and we just get everything covered on the edges. So you may have seen paper craft before, tearing paper, and always you get the white edge. But as soon as you add the darker edge to it, you've then created an aging effect. And that's what's so fantastic about these inks. That now looks like it might have been a fragment from a fire where somebody's thrown away a letter or something like you see in these films. And you can also add the ink around the edges of the card. This gives it a nice finished look. Now, if you've got a corner punch, you can buy these very inexpensively in all good stationers, and again online. You could just, don't have to, you can leave it and that would be totally fine. But as another option, you could just round the corners off. Just make sure you haven't got any white edges. And that is now looking more finished. Or for a more intense look on the edges, you can hold it up and just sort of this shading all the way around. So when I'm doing that, I'm going in a circular motion, but very quickly. And when I'm doing this, I'm doing a sweeping motion, but just on the tip. So it's only the tip that I'm doing all the way down. So when we do it, if you see other crafters and junk journalers, we've adapted to go quickly all the way around. Also, you can pinch it like that, and then you can go around quicker. Okay, so there we are. Lid on just to stop the ink drying out, and here comes the glue. Now, we have all types of glue we can get involved with. You just have to find what works for you. So standard school glues and stick glues are going to be fine for attaching this piece of paper to that piece of paper. Easy, no problemo. This is an Ecolutions glue stick, solvent free, and the Pritt stick is the best-selling UK glue stick because it's basically made of potato starch. So if you're looking for an eco-friendly option, Pritt stick is possibly your best. It's 90% natural ingredients, and you can recycle all the packaging as you can with Bic, but that one's smaller and the other one is cheaper and more value for money. However, as I said, it's a personal thing, and Pritt stick I often find leaves great big globules on your paper, and then you can get a lumpy bumpy texture. So I'm not saying this one's any better, it's just what I have to hand at the moment. I haven't actually found my favourite glue yet, so I'm still on the hunt. So if anyone's got any recommendations of glue stick that they think is performing really well for them, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. All right, so one thing we can do, I've stuck that on the wrong way, haven't I? Talking. Now with glue stick you do sometimes get a bit of time, but that's going to tear, to reposition. And that is the good thing about it. So this is my front. Let's try again. Stick it down. Doesn't matter that it's torn and worn. It sort of makes it even better. We're going for old, torn, worn, 100-year-old documents. Just move that up. Right. That's where I wanted to be with it. Now, what do I want to do? Now another thing that you can do is get a piece of scrap that is a contrasting colour. Oh no, it's exploded. Projects. How about blue? Let's see what we prefer. Right, just grab something, anything. I don't want book page because I've already got music paper, so this is an option. If you have, what's this, a 1/2 inch circle punch, you can punch out a circle. And then what we would do is we'd hole punch with a usual style hole punch to create a reinforcement circle. Alternatively, we could use a reinforcement circle if I had one, or we could use stickers if you've got any sticky dots. So, there we are. You can buy hole reinforcers, which you can get. This isn't the correct packaging. They came in a very large plasticky box. You can buy, the cheapest ones you can get will be made of paper, and therefore they can be coloured with the ink. But you might want to, we might want to go for a different colour. So, see, it's only going to work so far, isn't it, this, before I start losing. Or if you don't put them back, the system doesn't work. But we're just trialling it because I only discovered that the other day. What am I doing? Stormy Sky. Right, Stormy Sky is a similar colour to what I've punched over here. So that were two ways of doing it. If you've got a hole punch, lovely, we can stick that on. If you haven't, we can do a reinforcer if you've got one of that. If you've got sticky dots, perfect. You can do a few at a time. So now we've got some blue reinforced. Because that's obviously the easy option to just stick that on. If you've got a standard hole punch, a 2-hole punch, then that will be fine. You could just use one side of it. This one is just a single hole. This is by a company called Deli, and again I found this online. I think it could have even been a second-hand one bought from eBay. This is my hole punch company of choice, EK, because look how flat that is, and it just clips shut so you can store more in the drawer, whereas I've got another one here, and look at the difference in size. These are all slightly different sizes, and if you're going for any hole punch, go for circles because they are used in so many different ways. But these are more expensive, but just look how much space is saved compared to that chunky thing. But go with what you can get your hands on. But if you're trying to save on space, the EK, they are an American brand, but my goodness, hats off to you guys, because that is a good buy. Now, let's go back in with the glue stick. And we just roll that across the top and stick it down. And we're making our own reinforcement rings because more often than not, these are now made of plastic. So it's quite difficult to get hold of the paper ones, but yeah, do go onto that big online company with the that has the river as its name, and see if you can get paper ones. Look in the reviews as well, because you get lots of crafters asking if they're paper ones. Now this is the only bit, trying to line it up. So what I'm going to do is learn from my mistakes in the past and put a dot in the middle of where I think the centre is. And then we just have a look, find the centre there, make sure that the little dot is there, punch it out, and there is our hole. And I think that these are actually bigger, so it worked out to do it that way, because the punch that you would need is a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch punch, and this is just a standard hole punch for documents in a folder. So just get the blending ink tool in there just to clear up any white edges. We just emphasize that top bit. And so you could put one on the back as well. And there we have it. So you could have repeated the process and done one on the back and one on the front, and then when you'd punched, you would have hopefully have got it lined up. But there's no guarantee because you're putting the hole in there as well. So that way worked. Anyway, what I would now do is add some string. A couple of options. We could go with ribbon or we could go with twine. So they give a very different look. You can either go with some colourful ribbon or old fabric. See what that looks like. Okay, so that's how that looks. Or for a more rustic tag, we can use this jute twine, which I think I prefer for this one. So that's how to do a very, very simple basic tag, and you would add that to your journal. Tags can slip inside little pockets like that with these bits out, or you could cut it shorter. But anyway, there's some ideas. So that was one thing that we did today, using the yellow paper or the tea dyed paper. There's the tag there. And we had a look at this, didn't we, before, which was the tea bag, old tea. So if you, once you've dyed your tea, you can reuse the tea bag paper. Working out what shape we want. I got this one with a coffee shop on there, so you could have a more modern type one with a coffee cup on the tag. Cappuccino. So we add it to the acrylic block, and then we choose a colour, and I'm going to go with black on this one. And I think the best thing to do would be, I think we'll glue it. Now this does not want a runny glue, this does want a stick glue, because it's just enough to hold it. And for something as delicate as that, you wouldn't want runny glue seeping through. And that's just going to hold that nicely. I like to look at where the ink's going through the Perspex block, so I can see that that's all covered. And I also like to sort of swipe it across, because sometimes you get droplets of ink that form on these ones, and then you get sort of a blobby image. So I'm just going to try and aim. I sort of wish I hadn't put this in now. I'm going to loosen this off. That's better. Now I can feel like I can get it. Now it doesn't actually matter if I don't. Just need it straight. If I went off of the tea paper, it doesn't matter, because it'll still do the image on the tag below. So hopefully this will work out and it won't interfere with the glue that isn't dry underneath. We'll find out in a second. Ta-da! There we go. It's missed that bit in the middle. So this is the beauty of these acrylic blocks, is you can line them up and do a second image over the top. And I just need to make sure it gets that bit in the middle. There we are. Now we can see something extra happening there. It just gives it a bit more depth. Right, so that's the coffee. I could have some coffee beans, but I think that's going to be too much for this one, so we'll just leave it as that. That's a tag. In fact, that was 2 tags, wasn't it? So we've done quite well today on making our tags on a very basic materials with just ink and stamp and some scraps of paper and an old tea bag that we had anyway. Okay, so if you found value here, do leave a comment below and let me know. It gives me some encouragement and helps me to grow the channel. A bit of positivity if you found that that's given you some inspiration, and let me know how you get on. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And above all else, guys, just slow down and make some crafting time for you. All right, take care. Bye-bye now.